dealing with over here, so I'm going to spare everyone looking at my swollen face. But,
Oh, there's nothing worse, believe me. There is nothing worse.
We're good. We're good to go.
Okay,
all right,
thank you.
good morning.
Dr. Dolan.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. It is good to see everyone, if virtually, and time to start our meeting. With that call to order, I'd like to read the opening statement. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education of the Morris Union Jointure Commission. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231. In that a special notice was made in conformance with Section 13 of the Act and was posted at the Board of Education office and the Professional Development Center, both located at 340 Central Avenue, New Providence, and transmitted to the Star Ledger and the Daily Record. Pursuant to MUJC Board Policy 0164, in accordance with Executive Orders number 107 and 108, the Morris Union Jointure Commission Board of Education is suspending existing board policy number 0164 due to the pandemic. Members of the public may submit comments by email to the board secretary at mujc-boe@mujc.org, which must be received no later than 24 hours prior to the start of the board meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to make public comments twice during the virtual meeting. Members of the public who wish to speak during the appropriate time on the agenda must unmute themselves and should use the Q&A function on Zoom or the telephone conference line. For those using Zoom, please use the raise hand option. Speakers phoning in should use *9 to raise their hand and *6 to ask a question. Each speaker must state their full name and will be limited to 3 minutes. The Board of Education reserves the right to mute or remove a disruptive individual. And with that, would you all join me for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now, Mike, may I ask you to do the roll call?
Morning. Mr. Alexis.
Here.
Mr. Arlington.
Here.
Mr. Benacuesta.
Here.
Thank you. If you can all remember to unmute yourselves, that'll help a little bit. Dr. Block.
Present.
Dr. Burton. Dr. Caponegro.
Here.
Dr. Cascone.
Present.
Dr. Constantino. Dr. Dempsey. Dr. Dolan.
Here.
Mr. Garrido.
Here.
Ms. Goldberg. Mr. Grandy. Mr. Huff.
Here.
Dr. LaSousa.
Here.
Mr. Markarian.
Here.
Dr. Mast. Dr. Michelli. Dr. Mingle.
Here.
Dr. Mucci.
Here.
Dr. Rovtar.
Here.
Dr. Roberto. Dr. Rubin.
Here.
Dr. Sargent.
Here.
Ms. Schneiderman.
Here.
Mr. Schwartz. Dr. Spelker.
Here.
Dr. Taylor.
Here.
Dr. Varley.
Here.
Ms. Walling.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. And with that, we reach the first opportunity for the public to speak to the board, and this is regarding agenda items only. So Mike, I don't know if you have any comments already submitted, or if not, those who are attending may use the Q&A function.
We did receive one public comment. It's from our parent, Terry Yanow. She said she doesn't have any questions this month, but just wanted to say thank you for allowing us parents to be able to watch the Zoom meetings.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. We appreciate that. And we're glad you're here watching us. I believe that means it's time for the approval of the minutes. And for that, I need a motion to approve.
Motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa and Renee. And all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you very much. We now turn to the board presentation, and Janet, I'm not sure if I'm turning this over to you or directly to Mike.
Yeah, I'll take it for just a minute. Today is our annual board presentation. I want to thank the Finance Committee. We met virtually, and as you know, Dr. Makarian is the chair, Dr. Mast, Dr. Arlington, and Dr. Caponegro were with us. We had a great discussion there, and ultimately sent out the budget to the entire Finance Committee, and obviously you have it as well. Our general fund we're proposing is $32 million, and the enterprise is 42 million, which is very consistent with previous years. Mike is going to go over all of this. There are 4 featured items that we will be enhancing next year. First is the ERI program, Emotional Regulation Impairment Program, as it's freshly called under new guidelines. We are so excited. The board has approved the move of that program from New Providence, where it has just burgeoned, to Warren, where we can grow and where we can extend the age level of the students. We are next week excitedly meeting with psychiatrists who've expressed an interest in being affiliated with our program. That's a much needed component and enhancement that we need for our program. We're also looking to have clinical social workers, and we've certainly heard from your directors of special services that the counseling and the mental health component obviously is the most critical for this population of students. So we are certainly in this budget showing you what we intend to do. The second major impetus that you will find in the budget is technology, the enhancement of our technology program, and certainly in light of our technology assessment, which was presented to you in February, we are looking at enhancing those elements of infrastructure that need to be enhanced and fixed, and going forward. Quite frankly, I see our technology enhancement in a 2-stage factor. One is fixing what we need to fix, but the second one is jumping forward in this world of technology. There is so much we can do to be leaders in it. In my vision, we can offer podcasts and video casts and webcam ability for our member districts. We can really be the leader in PD in a very different way. We can't do it now. We don't have the tools now. We don't have the expertise now, but we can and we will have that under the guidance of our budget. We're also looking at purchasing buses. Buses do wear out. So you will see, Mike will explain the transportation costs. And then finally, there are some capital improvements that we're proposing. So with that, I'm turning it over to Mike Davison's very capable hands. He does a great job every year with this budget, and he's done so again. So Mike, I turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Janet. Everyone see the budget presentation? Janet, if you could just say yeah. Okay,
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, so starting out with our enrollments. Currently, we're at 217, and we do that as of November 9th. We pick a cutoff date because obviously our enrollments are always changing, and we have to kind of pick a point in time on where we're going to start and say this is where we're going to look at things. So our budget was started at 217, backing out our graduates and also taking into account the probable enhancement of the BD program. We're looking at 209 students next year. That would be 54 in New Providence and then 155 in Warren. As Janet said, our general fund budget is projected to be $32.8 million. The general fund is made up of our developmental learning centers, the 2 DLCs, and our admin budget, as well as our field services. Our total budget is projected to be $42.6 million, and that represents the 5 additional programs that we operate outside of our general fund. Our budget includes a lease purchase payment of $3.6 million, and that is for the certificates of participation. It's like our version of debt service. It was the loan that was taken out to build DLC Warren. Those payments will continue through 2029, and then that building will be been paid off. Our fund balance also includes a reserve for our projected cash flow, which represents 2 months of bills and payroll, and one future lease purchase payment. We're proposing to bring in $38 million of revenue. In the general fund, it's $28 million. And the general fund is basically the tuition and fees that we receive for the DLCs and the services that we provide the students through the RDSC. Our current tuition for autism is $95,947. We are proposing a 2% increase to bring it to $97,866. Our BD program, or ERI as Janet's been calling it, this year is at $70,419. Next year's increase is 10.69%, and that will bring that to $77,946. Again, that's a program enhancement. I'll address that on the next slide. And then we'll maintain our BD program, our MD program, which is $46,465 currently, and we're proposing a 2% increase. So what does this mean for the member districts? We still maintain those rebates. There's going to be a pot of $700,000 that will be allocated for return of services based off of your enrollment. So if you looked at what the current tuition is, at what the projected rebate for this year would be, you come up with $85,499. Next year, using the $97,866 tuition, and backing out a $10,600 rebate, it comes to $87,212. This is the budget you've seen previously for the BD program. The emotional regulation impairment program is what we're calling it. Again, it maintains it with 4 teachers, 8 teacher assistants, 2 support team TAs, a social worker, a psychologist, art, music, APE. There is a supervisor budgeted, but that's being looked at depending on how the program progresses and what we do with staffing for next year. It also includes the contracted services, which would be our psychiatric component, which Janet previously mentioned, as well as a BCBA, PhD. He's already been working with us with the current program, and we're going to continue his services. So again, looking at, these are all the program costs. Saying that there's 4 classrooms and 20 students, the tuition is going to be about $77,000, which was illustrated above. Our budgeted increases. We are estimating our health benefit increase at 7%. That's the recommendation we received from our health benefits broker. We won't know where that actually ends up until May, but we feel that 7% is a good estimate. We're budgeting 15.11% for the pension contribution that the board has to make for all our members of PERS. And then we have our salaries. It's basically 2.4% across the board. They're all listed as estimates because typically we have 3-year guides. Those are all ending this year. So we're projecting 2.4%. Janet will meet with the personnel committee and those increases would be finalized. You'll also see that the teachers and therapists, the people that are in the MUJCA, that says to be determined because, as you know, we're just entering negotiations now, and that will be set once we kind of have the finalization of our collective bargaining agreement. Looking at the budgets by location, DLC Warren, next year we'll have the autism program, the BD program, and the MD program. Currently, they only have the autism program and MD program. There'll be 155 students, and their total budget, including the extended school year, is $16.9 million. New Providence will only house the autism program. There'll be 54 students is what we have projected, and their budget, including ESY in the regular year, is about $6.4 million. Then we have our field budget. That's the related services, one-to-one aids and music budget. That's about $2 million. And just to point out, the RDSC, which is the PT, speech and language, OT, and ABA, there are no fee increases from this year to next year. Our one-to-one aides and paraprofessionals, that is increasing by 2%. Our undistributed budget, which is basically our admin budget, it includes the lease purchase payment, is $7.5 million. And in there is that $9,000 of, it's per the contract of with our collective bargaining agreement for teacher professional development, as well as that $3.6 million lease purchase payment. Our enterprise programs, so these are the 5 programs that operate outside our general fund. The budget for the food service program is $247,000. The board's max liability to contribute to that program is $85,000. So what you see is the $240,000 is the difference between the $85,000 and the monies that we bring in from serving lunch, monies that we get from the government as reimbursement for lunches. So that's that budget. Our PD budget is set at $66,250. Our transportation budget is $9.2 million. That includes about $900,000 of bus purchases. 3 years ago, we developed a bus replacement plan, and this is just utilizing the plan that we previously shared with the board, and including, trying to update our fleet in a more progressive manner. Our ART program, which is Alternative Route Teaching Program, that's budgeted at $65,000, and then our aquatics and recreation program is $141,000. The aquatics and recreation represents the rental for the swim teams. Our member districts use us for their home swim location, as well as a contract with NJ Swim. Technology. So on the left-hand side, I know it's really hard to see, but this is that roadmap that was shared previously by Wide and Hammer. So for next year, we're going to buy 6 flat panel monitors for Warren. We're going to continue with the internet-based curriculum. And then obviously we're going to work on the roadmap. I think the 3 areas that we're really focusing on will be cybersecurity, system redundancy, and Wi-Fi coverage. We have for approval today with the board a CIO contract. And that was shared as a recommendation from the tech assessment. We think that we found a good CIO. The cost came out better than we had anticipated, where we didn't need to have a sealed bid, and we're moving forward with that. Our buildings and grounds. So we are in year 2 of our capital improvement plan. Again, 3 years ago, when we were looking at our fund balance, we decided to look at what we need for our capital needs. We came up with a 5-year plan. So this current fiscal year, we're working on year 1. Next year, we're proposing to work on year 2. It would be the parking lot being repaved in transportation, and the fire alarm installation in transportation. Our transportation building is a little unique that it doesn't house students. When it was built, it's been approved with wet suppression, and that's it. But we don't have any smoke detectors or heat detectors. And so we felt that it was prudent to have those installed within our building. Additional capital projects, these are really much smaller than the things that are included in the capital improvement plan. We're going to do some sidewalk repairs in New Providence, parking lot repairs. There's potholes that need to be looked at and addressed. In Warren, we're cleaning out the pool sand filters, and we're painting selected stairwells. Something that's not listed in the presentation, but I just want to bring to everyone's attention, is security. Previously, the board had approved Class 3 officers. This year, we didn't. The plan was to start that this year, but given the COVID situation, that did not happen. But we did budget for next year to start that program based off of the information we previously had, and hopefully, September is a new school year, and we're off and running with our Class 3 officers as well. Rebates to member districts. This is basically how your dues are calculated. Each year, we reach out to your business office and we obtain your ASSA report. We charge $4.12 per pupil, and then an additional flat rate of $4,100 is added to come up with the dues amount. At this point, everybody's a full member except for one district. Next fiscal year, the 21-22 school year, we'll have our last associate member become a full member. So at that point, everybody will be entitled to a full dues rebate. Our budget includes $700,000 for the therapeutic service rebate. That's that $10,000 that I referenced as, if you apply it to your tuition, we look at the autism enrollment and we take the $700,000 and we divide that out, and there's a return of about $10,600 per student to each district. And then again, this is just about being a associate member versus a full member. But as I said, everybody at this point for next fiscal year will be a full member, with the exception of one district that I believe in December becomes a full member. Our fund balance, basically, I said this above, that we have 2 months worth of payroll and bill. That's $6 million. And then we have our future lease purchase payment. That's $3.7 million. We keep that in reserve for future expenses. We anticipate bringing in about $511,000 for dues. We will return $1.2 million in rebates. So that's the dues plus $700,000 of the therapeutic service rebate. Our budget fund balance is $6.2 million, and of that, $4.5 million is being used to balance the current expense budget. $406,000 is used to balance the transportation budget, and then we have about $1.2 million in capital projects. So as of June 2022, so a year from this June, we anticipate our fund balance being at about $8.1 million. And again, we still maintain that reserve of $6 million and $3.7 million for the cash flow and lease payment. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. I'll take off the share and see if anybody has any questions.
I'd like to thank you, Mike, and I'd also like to note that many of the sections of the budget we have been discussing gradually over the past several months. So I think a lot of members who've been attending all the meetings have seen some of the details as the budget was being developed. So with that, I don't know if there are any members of the Finance Committee who'd like to share some thoughts. Or if not, we can open it up to any of the members for thoughts or questions or comments. Maybe all the prior work leading up has helped people get their questions answered, but we still have a little bit of wait time remaining. So keep thinking. And if you have any questions or thoughts or comments, we're still open for it.
I'd just like to thank the Finance Committee and the administration for putting together the budget and for investing in some of the items we've previously discussed, like technology, infrastructure, and transportation. And so I think it was a straightforward and easy to follow presentation, and it builds upon a lot of the discussions and work that that the administration and the board have been doing for the past year or two.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I could jump into as Finance Committee chairperson, I could tell you that Mike was extremely patient with me as I hammered him about why we had a decrease of 40 FTEs or thereabouts and what the historical realities of that situation are. So, as usual, he did a great job and makes me feel confident that we're in a great place with his work and the team that he's got working on the budget. So thanks, Mike. Appreciate your hard work.
Problem. And just let me just touch on that 40 FTE number, because we did talk about it. So typically our budget, when we look at our staffing, we basically have about from our original budget to where our current level is, somewhere between 10 and 12 vacancies or positions that weren't filled. This year, there were about 40. So that's a bigger jump. And so the question that Nick had was, what's triggering that? How does that impact tuition potentially? And we went back and we did look at it. So in the past, like it's probably been about anywhere from 8 to 12 vacancies. This year, there were 40. About 20 of those are from transportation. So transportation is something that doesn't really affect the budget, so to speak, because it's, if there's a route, we hire a driver and that driver works that number of hours and then we build a district for it. So in a way, it doesn't impact your tuition. It doesn't impact the transportation fees. What it does impact is basically the number, it's what you pay versus what we're paying our people. The other piece to it is that with our teacher assistants and our virtual classrooms, we had I think about 53 students that were virtual. So as we had resignations, some of those positions for teacher assistants were not filled. And then we also had districts who were no longer using the one-to-one, because if the student was home, I guess the feeling was that the student wasn't going to benefit from a one-to-one aid. And again, a one-to-one aid is something that we directly bill your district for, and in turn then hire somebody to fill that. So with those vacancies, there wasn't a huge savings. There's been other costs that have come up throughout the year, obviously for technology, buying laptops that have kind of offset some of that. But just looking at the number from 40 and it normally being 10, 20 of those were transportation. Another 5 or 6 were the one-to-ones. Again, transportation and the one-to-ones are things that are directly billed, and then we directly have the expenses for, so it doesn't really factor into the tuition.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, last call. Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, thanks again, Mike, for the presentation.
My pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
With that, pursuant to Section 7B of the Open Public Meetings Act, the board would like to go into private session to discuss matters which may generally be described as negotiations or HIB investigations. May I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Thank you, Matt. And how about a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt. And with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I believe what we're doing is signing out of this meeting and clicking into our other invitation for the private session. And after the private session, we will click out of that session and click back onto this session and continue the public meeting.
That's correct. And I'll hang out here for a minute just to make sure everybody goes to where they need to go, and then I'll join the meeting.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Janet, you have your quorum, but I think we may be one person short.
Okay. All right. Dr. Dolan, I think we can proceed and we can proceed.
All right, great. Welcome back to the public session. We're glad you're still here. And at this point, I'd like to ask for an agreement for a consent agenda for the agenda items 9 through 13. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Matt, and Barbara. I think that was a second. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think, Janet, you have a few topics to speak about, or at least one.
I do. Thank you so much. Yes, this is just your monthly update on our progress with our ERI program, Emotional Regulation Impairment Program. As I indicated during the budget session, I'm very excited that a team of our administration is meeting with psychiatrists who've expressed an interest in our program. And that is wonderful because there are not a lot of psychiatrists with the skill level and the interest and expertise in students with autism who are interested in working within a public school setting. So we're really thrilled with their interest. Hopefully at the next board meeting, I will be able to tell you how that progressed and where we are at the stage of engaging with the psychiatrists. We will also start to look at other professionals such as clinical social workers, which come from the more medical field into the school environment. So that is progressing. A huge thanks to your directors of special services who provide us with insight and guidance every month. We share this with them, we get feedback from them, and I tell them to share their thoughts with you. So hopefully that is happening. That is the first item. I'll be happy to take any questions on our ERI program. Okay. The second thing which I want to comment on is on your agenda as item 13. And item 13 is resignations. And as you know, I sent the board a memo about a week ago indicating that Kathy Galvin, who's the executive superintendent, she is the executive superintendent, she is, she executive assistant, is retiring this summer. We send her our heartiest congratulations. I have to tell you, and each and every one of you in the grid knows what I'm saying, I always call Kathy my right hand and my left, and my right foot and my left. And you all know what that means. Kathy has been with the Morris Union Jointure Commission for 30 years. And it's hard to believe, but 30 years. And in all of those times, I have had the privilege to work with her. And I can absolutely tell you what you know. There has never been a day that Kathy has not given 1,000%. So Kathy, we're gonna miss you. And we're gonna salute you in June. But I couldn't let your resignation be on the board agenda without a shout out and without our heartfelt appreciation. So Kathy, best wishes to you. Kathy has 2 beautiful grandbabies. I know she intends to spend a lot of time with them, and as well you should. No one could have given the Jointure Commission more in terms of expertise, loyalty, and dedication. So from our heart to yours, thank you.
Yes, and I'll just second that, Janet. I think everybody on this meeting knows how efficient Kathy is, but in addition to being efficient, she's so friendly and at least at least as far as I can tell, she's unflappable. So Kathy, thank you for all that. We really do all appreciate it, and we certainly
Yeah.
wish you the best.
Thank you.
Great.
And with that, Dr. Dolan?
All right, before I ask for a vote, are there any questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, Mike, can you take a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Could you please all unmute yourselves one more time? We'll start with Mr. Alexis,
Yes.
Mr. Arlington,
Yes.
Mr. Benacuesta,
Yes.
Dr. Block,
Yes.
Dr. Caponegro,
Yes.
Dr. Cascone,
Yes.
Dr. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Guido,
Yes.
Mr. Huff,
Yes.
Dr. LaSousa,
Yes, and cheers to Kathy.
Mr. Markarian,
Yes.
Dr. Mingle,
Yes.
Dr. Mucci,
Yes.
Dr. Rovtar, Dr. Rovtar, thumbs up. Thank you. All good. Dr. Rubin,
Yes.
Dr. Sargent,
Yes.
Ms. Schneiderman,
Yes.
Dr. Spelker,
Yes.
Dr. Taylor, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Varley,
Yes.
Ms. Walling,
Yes.
motion's carry.
Thank you, Mike. All right, that brings us up to new business. Is there any new business? Hearing none, we turn to the good of the order. Janet.
Thank you. We have a lot to celebrate this month, as we do every month. Kenilworth, I'm telling you, our districts are getting on the national news. First it was Berkeley Heights, now it's Kenilworth. Kenilworth Harding School book vending machine featured on CBS. Kyle, can you give us the thumbnail on that?
Sure. Thanks, Janet. The PTO was just looking for ways to sort of spread some good cheer and in light of the year that's like anything but. So they collaborated with some teachers to stock the school with vending machines and then stock those machines with books. So they became these like great conversation pieces that kids really seem to love. Just a nice way to add like lightness and levity into an otherwise heavy year. So yeah, kids are excited.
Great, love the creativity. Scotch Plains Fanwoods, Dr. Mast has 2 National Merit Scholarship finalists. She couldn't be with us today, but I hope she carries our congratulations to her students. Westfield, Dr. Dolan, student volunteers assisting seniors with COVID vaccine appointments. There can't be anything more needed. This was such a feel-good story. Go ahead, Peg.
No, absolutely. I think we all know that. We all know people who have gotten up in the middle of the night to try to see if they can get a vaccine. We all know many people have been trying for months to get a vaccine, and some people are lucky and some people aren't. So yes, I'm very glad some of our students stepped up. They have the technology skills, and they probably are up in the middle of the night, honestly. So they are finding appointments for seniors and others who have not been successful. And I do know some happy people in the community who are now able to get their vaccines. It's a great thing.
It is a great thing, and please convey our congratulations and appreciation for their heartfelt efforts. Wonderful. And 2 things that are not on here, but good news in their own right. Dr. Jewett, who is our board president, will be coming back to the helm. She'll be back in her district May 3rd, so she will be at our May board meeting. She has sent me many fabulous pictures over the course of the past several months. She is loving being home, but she is looking forward to coming back. And Beth, we have so enjoyed seeing you. You're going to be here at one more meeting, and I'm sure you're quite excited about her coming back.
Yeah, thank you, though. It's been enjoyable being part of this, so thank you.
Right. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, I know that all of you know that our vice president, Peg Dolan, is retiring at the end of this year, and we will celebrate Peg in her own right in June. But I wanted to recognize that now and say how dearly you will be missed by all of us. You've been a leader to all of us, Peg. And to not have you in that role is almost unthinkable to me, but I guess we'll all get used to that idea as the time goes. We know you're going to travel. We know you're going to enjoy Broadway, and you're going to be enjoying family. And we wish you the well. And again, we will celebrate you in June, but I didn't want the opportunity to go without celebrating you now. So
Great.
congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Janet and everyone.
And I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge Peg's other half. And many of you know him, and you don't know you know him. He is Rich Lamb, the noted reporter on CBS Radio 88. I've listened to him for years. There is no one like Rich Lamb to tell a story. When he tells a story, you are at the event. There's just no other way to say it. You're there. He depicts it in a particularity and emotion that no other reporter has in my book. He was recently celebrated for 43 years at CBS Radio. That's beyond a record. That's just unfathomable, really. 43 years. And we were talking before the board meeting. Many of us heard the celebration on the radio, and it was touching and endearing and funny and not a dry eye, all of those emotions throughout the celebration. I was most impressed with how CBS acknowledged and honored Peg during that presentation to her husband. They acknowledged all the sacrifice that you've done and how your support was just so critical to all the good works that Rich did. So Peg, in your own right, CBS honors you, and we want to wish Rich well. We want to wish you well. It is an icon couple going on to fabulous things. So congratulations again to both of you.
Thank you. I just would like to add, it's really easy to be humble. So my husband's send-off was 2 hours of live radio. There were numerous governors and former mayors of New York City and reporters from around the world, and the Cardinal in New York, all calling in to say how great my husband is, which is wonderful. I just don't think I'm going to get that. I don't know. So it's very easy to be humble, but I appreciate all the kind words. And I'm very proud and happy for my husband. He's a great guy in addition to being a great reporter. So it's a great thing. It's a good time. So thank you.
Thank you. And with that, Dr. Dolan, good of the order is done.
Thank you. And so this brings us to our second opportunity for public comment. Again, the public may comment via using the Q&A. And Mike will read any additional comments that he might have received.
We did not receive any new emails, and our public left after the closed session, so there are no questions through the Q&A.
All right, thanks very much. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you very much, Matt. And a second?
Second.
Second, George, thank you. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. With that, we are adjourned, and I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Thursday. Have a good day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Congratulations, Dr. Dolan.
Why, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Good job, Peg.